weird metal box found at the bottom of the ocean made big news when local scientists discovered this puzzling thing on the seafloor. When they first looked at it, it seemed like a normal shipping box, but it held an amazing secret. When their underwater machine brought it up and the heavy metal doors were opened, everyone who looked inside became very scared. Finding this box wasn't an accident. That morning, Coast Guard equipment noticed big problems in the water, and underwater noise reports kept coming. Only something really heavy dropping into the ocean could make this kind of trouble, so Captain Catherine Sullivan's research group got told to check out these strange movements. The equipment that found the strongest signals was about 20 meters from the shore. After Catherine and her team got to the spot, they started working right away. Since Catherine was both captain and main scientist, it made sense for her to go underwater first. She went down and found what they were looking for in only a few minutes. There was a huge shipping box sitting on the ocean bottom. When Catherine came back up, she quickly told her team to send down their underwater machine. "We have to bring that thing up to our boat," she said. Luckily, they hadn't left their research base with just any regular ship. With Catherine's directions ready, her team got the underwater robot ready for the deep trip down. As they put the machine into the water, Catherine took charge, and the most thrilling part of their job started. When the robot got to the box, it was time to begin lifting it up. The machine put its metal arms around the sides of the box, but this turned out much harder than they thought it would be. The box weighed way more than they expected. Their ship's lifting equipment could handle huge things, but somehow this simple shipping box was making their machines work incredibly hard. "What on earth is in that thing?" Catherine asked. Shipping boxes usually aren't totally closed off from water, so when you lift one from the ocean bottom, you'd normally think water would spill out from every hole. But weirdly, that didn't happen here. Somehow, this normal-looking shipping box was closed up tight, like it was made to stop every drop of water from getting in. But why was this? The ship's strong workers, who did the heavy work for the team, had already started trying to open the door handle, but Catherine told them to be careful. "We don't know what's in there," she said. Everyone waited for Catherine's okay. After taking several big breaths, she decided it was time. "Open it up, but do it slowly," she told them. Bit by bit, the box doors started to swing open. When the door finally opened all the way, everyone watching right away became very scared. No one could have guessed they would find something so weird. The person most surprised was Catherine herself. Catherine left her lifting controls and walked closer to the confusing box. She quietly walked past her team members and stepped into the open box. The woman's eyes got bigger than they had ever been. Catherine's fingers touched everything inside the box. Some things were made from wood, while others had cloth covers. These were things that shouldn't be in a place like this. With each thing Catherine looked at, she got more confused. She turned around to look at her team. At first, nobody said anything. They had talked about what might be in the box, but no one thought it would be this. Catherine was the first to talk. "What is all this? Did someone really live in here?" she asked. Her voice showed total shock because what was inside looked strangely like a house. She asked her coworkers to explain what they were seeing, but none of them knew what to say. Catherine stepped back to look at the whole box and shook her head. She couldn't think of any words. The box's inside was totally set up like a place where someone lives. It had a bed, a couch, a closet, and a table with chairs. It had everything a normal house would have. But then Catherine saw something scary. Rough air holes had been drilled through the metal walls, just big enough to let air in. "These holes, someone made these to breathe?" she whispered, her voice shaking. "Has anyone here ever seen anything like this before?" Catherine asked her team. But everyone in the group felt the same surprise and confusion about this strange find. There were so many questions. Where did this come from? Who would live like this? And why would they do it? It didn't take long for the team to start looking at everything carefully. Catherine was amazed not just because the box was completely furnished, but also because most things were still where they belonged. They quickly learned that everything was stuck to the floor with nails, but some loose things were lying around, and they found pictures of a man with his family. Hidden under the pictures were fake ID papers and fake shipping documents. "Look at this," one team member called out with worry. "These papers are all fake. The names don't match, and these stamps look totally fake. Did he live in the box, or did his whole family? Who were these people, and what had happened to them?" They kept looking to find answers to these questions. They checked every part of the box, but couldn't find anything that helped them understand what really happened. Catherine made an annoyed sound and was ready to stop when one of her coworkers suddenly yelled with excitement. When she looked around, she saw him holding up a clear plastic bag. What made him so excited was what he found inside it: some kind of recording machine. Catherine rushed over to him and carefully took the bag. Maybe this could give them some answers. Catherine held the bag very carefully, worried that any wrong move might break it or ruin whatever was recorded inside. The bag had been kept very carefully, and when she opened it, Catherine right away saw that the machine was still totally dry. This was a good sign, and she pressed the play button with hope. Even though the recorder looked dry and Catherine felt good about it, her heart still jumped when she heard a voice. The group made excited sounds, and Catherine waved for everyone to be quiet so they could hear the recording. It was a man's voice, probably the same man from the pictures. This was encouraging. It was hard to understand the recording while they were out on the ocean, so the group quickly went inside the ship. At first, they only heard background sounds, but then the voice became clear. "I have to record this before they know we're here and catch us," the voice said. Someone answered in the background. The voice sounded scared, making the first words of the recording very frightening. There was a short, quiet moment. Then the man coughed and said his name was Tariq Hassan. "I hope someone finds this box and this recording and can help us. People's lives are in danger," he said quickly. The recording suddenly stopped. Catherine looked at her coworkers, who all had the same look of total shock and confusion. What kind of situation had they gotten mixed up in? What was really going on? The message sounded awful, and they wanted to help this person. But how could they? Then the recording started again. The recorder made crackling sounds, and the quality wasn't as good as before. Catherine moved closer to hear what the voice was saying. "We really need help. We're on the MV Stellar Dawn, but I don't know how much time we have left. Please save us," the voice begged. The man's voice became more and more desperate. Then the recorder stopped working again. Catherine tried to make it work, but nothing she did helped. It was totally broken. The room became totally silent. They were all speechless. Everyone understood that something terrible had happened to the people who owned this box. But what exactly had happened? And was there any way they could help them? When they looked up information about the ship, they found it had been reported at different ports many times, but it only stayed for short times each time. It only got fuel and moved very little cargo, even though it was full of boxes. Catherine wrinkled her forehead and sighed. Why would a ship carrying shipping boxes visit ports so rarely and not load or unload its boxes? This strange behavior really puzzled Catherine and seemed very suspicious. She talked about it with her co-workers, who all agreed that something fishy was happening with that ship. Catherine looked through the shipping database again, hoping to learn more about this boat. She pulled up the GPS tracking system, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she followed the ship's path. "This is impossible," she muttered, staring at the screen. "Look at this pattern. They've been going around the same areas for weeks, never staying in port long enough for proper checks." She got excited when she saw where it was last spotted. "It's not far from here." she said loudly. The strange reports in the shipping records and the scary recording were enough to convince Catherine to try finding this ship. The place where the boat was last seen wasn't very far away, so they could get there quickly. If they understood the man in the recording correctly, time was running out. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. Catherine told everyone on her boat what was happening and explained why she was worried. She gave the ship's captain the exact location where they had last spotted the strange ship. When they got there, they saw the boat floating 20 kilometers away from land, completely still. Catherine and her team felt both interested and scared, knowing this was not a normal research trip. The voice message they had heard made it clear that something very serious was going on. "I'm calling the Coast Guard and police right away," Catherine said firmly. When the officials showed up, Catherine made sure their boat stayed out of sight of the cargo ship. She quickly told them what was happening and played the frightening recording. "We've reached out to harbor officials in 3 separate countries," one of the officers said seriously. "This ship has been marked for having fake cargo lists and strange docking behavior." Luckily, the police trusted what she told them, but there was an issue. The ship's workers might fight if they tried to board in an official way. If they spotted law enforcement approaching, they would likely refuse to let anyone come on board. Catherine thought of a way to solve this issue. Police officers could dress up like scientists. "Say we're researching how fish move around and their ship is in the right place for watching," she recommended. With their fake identities prepared, Catherine and 2 officers went toward the container ship in a small boat. As they moved closer, their radio picked up messages being sent from the ship. "Put everything away right now," a scared voice yelled in poor English. "Check boat coming this way." Catherine felt terrified. "They sense something's not right," she whispered to the officers. As they approached, she requested permission to board, but something seemed off right away. The ship's captain appeared uncertain. Catherine continued telling their made-up research story while the workers rushed around on deck, shouting commands. After a long wait, they put down a ladder, and all 3 climbed up. "You get 1 hour," the captain said harshly, then left. Catherine and the officers moved between the containers, shouting loudly. "Tariq Hassan, are you anywhere around here?" they called out. Suddenly, a container door burst open, and someone dragged them inside. What they found totally amazed them. Many people were packed inside the container. The faces looking at them showed terror, hope, and complete tiredness. "Please," a woman said quietly in poor English, "we need someone to help us." Others talked in languages Catherine didn't know, but their begging looks told the whole story. Inside the container, a man asked who they were. Catherine recognized his voice right away. It was the same person from the recording. She told him how they had found his message. His face changed and became gentler. "I cannot believe this is actually happening," Tariq said with relief. "This is our chance to get away from this horrible ship." Tariq explained what was really happening. The ship's captain and workers had been keeping people locked up, forcing them to work on the boat without their consent. He had been stuck for 2 years, while others had been there much longer. The living situation in the containers was terrible. When Tariq tried to start a fight back, the crew stopped him. They dropped his container into the water, trying to prevent him from making more problems. But before this happened, he managed to hide his message, hoping someone would find it someday. When he finished his story, the container became totally silent. Catherine and the officers were shocked by what they had heard. What they had found was far worse than they had thought. Entire families were being kept prisoner, living in horrible conditions. They had to act right away. The police collected key details about how many crew members there were and if they would fight back. They planned a surprise raid. It worked great. The crew was quickly caught and the Coast Guard took over the ship. Catherine helped Tariq set all the families free. "We need people who can translate right now," she called to shore. "We have people hurt from at least 4 different nations here." As translators came by helicopter, the complete terror of the situation became obvious. Families torn apart, kids who hadn't seen daylight in months, people who had stopped believing they would ever be saved. Soon after, the ship reached the nearest port where emergency housing was created for the people who had been hurt. It wasn't long before news reporters heard about what happened. It became a huge news story throughout the nation. Catherine watched the news reports carefully as she went back home. She felt thankful that the people were now safe and proud that she had helped make things right. She was happy to see that everything had worked out well and very pleased that she had played a part in making it happen. Did you like the story? If you came across that container with the desperate message inside, would you take the risk of searching for the ship yourself, or would you call the police and let them take care of it? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. When someone needs help, have the courage to step up. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Wishing you a wonderful day.